Hi guys, and welcome back to SJB Electronics. So it's been quite a while since we've had a little bit of a meeting on YouTube, but I thought I'd get on with my pack testing videos I promised in my my latest YouTube video. So we're going to talk about pack testing today, and we're just going to run over a few things just to start the series off. I did attempt to do a video the other day. It turned out to be so long, I just thought people would just get bored to death while they was watching the video. So we're going to start off with a simple question. Well, we're going to answer a few questions I think that people often ask about pack testing, and then we'll move on from that and maybe go over the actual schedule and things that are incorporated in pack testing nowadays. So the first question really that's on most people's lips is what qualifications do you actually need to be a pack tester? Well, the simple answer to that is you don't actually need any qualifications, but you do need to be proved to be what's called a competent person. Obviously the easiest way to do that is to make yourself go on a training course and prove yourself to be competent. There's two courses basically that you can go on for pack testing, as far as I'm aware, in this month in 2019, October. Obviously things change over the years, but as I'm aware at the moment, and I've been doing this for about 10 to 15 years now, there is two courses. Now, the basic course is what's called the City and Guilds 2377. It's in-service inspection and testing of electrical equipment. That's what you need. If you want to go a little bit higher than that, okay, you can go for the City and Guilds 2377-02, which is competent management of in-service inspection and testing of electrical equipment. It's a little bit more involved, not too much more, but if you're thinking about going on a pack testing course, I suggest that you go on the -02. Just gives you that little bit more knowledge and a little bit more confidence when you first start out. Just one thing, in my opinion, if you're thinking about taking up pack testing as a career, or pack testing to earn a living, think very carefully. It's very hard these days, number one, to find a real pack testing company that will come out and do everything that's needed to test your equipment and make sure that you're 100% safe. There's too many companies out there now that are just what we call label stickers. They'll come out, they'll look at your equipment, they'll probably give it a quick once over visually, run a few by the equipment, the actual track testing equipment, stick a label on it, Bob's your uncle, you're done. Quick, easy money for them, okay, and I've seen prices charged as little as 50p, 70p an item, okay. It's up to you, but I would seriously question somebody who can test a full office of maybe 30 appliances in maybe 10 minutes. It's just not viable. If you're thinking about going into it, think about it as part of something that you're going to be doing incorporated inside of your main job, okay. Now, I work for a hire company. We hire out tools, we hire out machinery. Obviously I'm involved in the electrical department, so my job is not only repairing, not only maintaining, but making sure that the equipment goes out to the customer in a safe manner, okay. Now obviously not everybody knows how to use a tool safely, but electrically I have to make sure that I can make it as safe as possible for them. So just to run over for that, the qualifications, City and Guilds 2377. If you want to go a step higher, City and Guilds 2377-02. Okay, now I do believe, with a few things that I've heard and read just recently on the internet, that the latest edition of electrician's course, the IEC standard, is, I think, starting to incorporate the pat testing of appliances within the examination. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure, but at the moment I know it's not filtered down to a lot of companies, because I do get a lot of work from electrical companies to ask me to come out and pat test their equipment. You think that they'll be competent to do it themselves, but I still get called. So what we'll do is we'll just talk about what actually pat testing is. Okay, I'm not going to go on too long, not going to bore you too much, just give you a little bit of appetite for what's to come after this. I've seen a lot of videos, especially leading up to the one that I'm doing now, with people showing various pat testing schedules that they incorporate themselves, and they always seem to involve a certain pat tester. It's really just a big advert. Okay guys, I'm not going to point to you and say you should buy this pat tester, you should buy this equipment, you should do it this way, you should do it this way, that way, whatever way you decide to do it. It's entirely up to you. What I'm trying to do in this video is run through simple things that hopefully you can remember, that you can incorporate if you decide to do pat testing in your schedule, that'll help you along and make sure that you're providing a good service for the customer. The best safety aspect of any installation or appliance that you're going to be going to, you can walk into the building with confidence and know that if anybody shoots any questions at you, that hopefully through watching this video you'll be able to fire back at them with the correct answers. So we'll start off with the obvious question first. What is pat testing? Okay, well, pat testing is a testing of portable appliances. It's a very loose term actually, because it's not entirely true. Not all appliances that you'll find while you're a pat tester are actually portable. Okay, we'll run through that in a minute. But the main bullet points that you want to be remembering when you're doing pat testing is it describes the examination of electrical appliances and equipment to ensure that they are safe to use. Most electrical defects can actually be found by a visual examination. That's just looking over the item to make sure that there's no obvious defects, rather physically or electrically. Okay, looking down your cable to look out for damage, make sure that it's got the right plug on the end, make sure it's carrying the right fuse, etc, etc, etc. It is essential to understand that the visual examination, it is an essential part of the process, because some types of electrical safety defects can be detected only by testing alone. Okay, so a relatively brief user look based upon simple training, hopefully you'll get later on from me, you can comprise a checklist that you can go through on each appliance that you pick up, on each appliance that you test. However, a more formal visual inspection and testing by a competent person may also be required at appropriate intervals, depending upon the type of equipment and the environment in which it is used. So when you look at a lot of pat testing courses, a lot of pat testing schedules that people put out there on the internet, they bleat on about your first part of your schedule when you're testing an appliance, okay, is a visual inspection. I actually disagree with that. I don't think your first part of your test should be your visual inspection. I think your first part of your testing should actually be the environment that the tool is being used in. While something's on your bench and you're testing it, it's in a controlled environment. Certain tools might be taken out of that environment and used in hazardous environments. Age-old question actually came up in one of the exams one of the courses that I attended some years ago. Does a calculator, a battery powered calculator, need pat testing? I suppose the obvious answer to that would be no. Not entirely true. Yes, you're not going to test it for earth leakage, you're not going to test it for frayed cables. You're probably going to do a function check to make sure that it actually works. Okay, you're going to stick a label on it and it's going to be put on one side and used by somebody. If it's in an office environment, that's fine. Let's just say, for example, that somebody brings a calculator to you. Your first question should be, where is this calculator used? If the calculator is used in an office, fine. If it's used in your workshop, fine. What if that calculator is used in a boiler room? Do you think it's still safe to be used? The answer to that should be no. It may contain batteries inside that unit that don't like being shown to high temperatures. Maybe carrying lithium batteries even. Don't like high temperatures, they're likely to explode. I would fail that calculator in accordance with the environment it's going to be used in. Now obviously that's an extreme example, but always, in my opinion anyway, think about where the tool, appliance or whatever it is you're testing electrically, think about the environment it's going to be used in. Very important question to be asking the customer. Explain to them why it's not safe to use this item in that environment. Okay. Second part of the testing schedule is obviously the visual inspection. Okay. Most faults on any equipment are visual. Look around the appliance, look for damage to the cable, look to make sure it's got the correct plug fitted, make sure that it's got the insulated pins on the plug if needed, on a standard wall socket plug, make sure it's got the correct fuse in it. Always lift the lid of the plug. Look for any signs of burning. Look to make sure that the polarity is correct, that the live cable goes to the live side where the fuse is, that the neutral goes to the neutral side, and that the earth is on the earth pin, if it's not a class 2 that is. Okay, which we'll discuss more about that later. You can pick up so much from a visual test. Look for cracks on the casing. Look for signs of excessive wear and tear on certain parts of the case. Look for vents that may be broken where a child can stick their fingers. And not only, of course, pat testing the electrical safety of the item, but make sure that it's mechanically sound too. Okay, if you've got something like an angle grinder which is electrically sound, passes your earth leakage test, passes your insulation test, maybe even passes your earth bond test if it's got a metal body, if the mechanical parts of the motor driving the main gear at the front is faulty, it fails. Simple. That fails the function check. Third on the list will be electrical test. If you find no faults in the environment that's going to be used, if you find no faults in a visual inspection, and you then can move on to the electrical test. The electrical test we'll go through later, but this is where you're going to need a machine like this. Not just this machine, but the pat tester that you choose when you purchase one. There's lots and lots of different pat testers on the market nowadays. Unfortunately, most of them are very expensive, but it's very important that when you pick a pat tester, that you pick the pat tester that's right for you and right for the appliances that you're going to test. Okay, this pat tester here is a fine pat tester. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but there is only certain things that this can test. Okay, main reason I'm showing it on the video is it's something that I carry around with me. I can walk around an office, it's battery operated, I don't need to keep bringing things to me, I can go to the appliance and test it in situation, which again shows me in what environment it's being used. Okay. Last on the list will be the functional check of the actual appliance. we sort of got onto this a little bit earlier on with the description of the angle grinder not being mechanically sound. You need to do a function check of an appliance. It may be electrically safe as insulation wise, it may be electrically safe as the earth bond connection, but there may be a fault within that item that maybe in the near future or at second, third, fourth, whatever use, the machine's going to break down. And of course there's obviously a problem there, and although that it's electrically sound, where as far as the supply input and everything's concerned, you may have problems that's going to occur later on. You can't test a drill for insulation tests and test that it's got an earth continuity and then pull the trigger and it doesn't work, because you don't know what the bolt is inside, so you don't know what the problems with that drill will be. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So we've gone over that pat testing actually stands for portable appliance testing. We've said on numerous times that the definition of a portable appliance, it's just a standard interpretation, guys. What it really should be is any appliance that has a plug attached to it and plugs into a wall outlet is a more apt description. Okay, so if we take it from there, a pat testing schedule, as in your environment, your visual inspection, your electrical test and your function check, should be based on if the item primarily is an appliance that has a plug attached to it and plugs into a wall outlet. Okay guys? Second question what a lot of people asked: is pat testing compulsory? Simple answer is no, it's not compulsory. All the law requires is an employer to ensure that their electrical equipment is maintained in order to prevent danger. It does not say how this should be done or how often it should be done. All employees really should take a risk-based approach, considering the type of equipment and exactly what is it being used for. If it is used regularly and moved a lot, for example a vacuum cleaner, a kettle, then these should be tested with visual checks every time that they're being used. Okay, not just by a pat tester but by the person that's using the item. But also these should be pat tested more regular. They're moved around a lot, the stresses and strains on cables and casings and things like that, they need to be tested more regular. So if you've been told, for example, that all your pat testing has to be done every year by somebody, okay, it's not true. The Electricity at Work Regulations 1989 require that any electrical equipment that has the potential to cause injury is maintained in a safe condition. However, the regulations do not specify what needs to be done, by whom or how frequently. Okay, so therefore the inspection and testing of electrical appliances is not, and I stress is not, a legal requirement, and nor do they make it a legal requirement to undertake it annually, monthly, weekly or whatever. So ask yourself the question, how frequently do you have to actually test an appliance? Put your mind at rest. The frequency of inspection and testing, it depends upon the type of equipment and, like I said first off, the environment that it's used in. For example, a power tool used on a construction site should be examined more frequently than, let's say, a lamp in an hotel bedroom. Yeah, I'm sure you understand the logic behind that. There's also no legal requirement, okay, to attach labels to devices, and there's no legal requirement to keep any records of any testing that's been done. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But that's what the law states. Well, the law doesn't state anything. It doesn't. All it says is, like I said in the first place, that you have to use, to your best judgment, a way of producing a maintenance / service / inspection scheme to maintain that the equipment stays in a safe manner and can be done by any competent person. The question is that person competent? The only way specifically to ensure that is somebody who's passed the 2377 qualification. Another question that quite often comes up is, do I need to test new equipment? This is a bit of a bugbear with me, okay, because new equipment should be supplied in a safe condition and not require a formal portable appliance inspection or test. However, a simple visual check should be done to make sure and to verify that the item is not damaged. Now, anybody out there who uses eBay can tell you that you can buy a lot of things that don't carry the standards mark, that come from, shall we just say, countries that have different standards to what we do in the UK, and you wouldn't want to plug them straight in the wall. Bear that in mind, okay? In my opinion, you go out onto the high street and you buy something from a shop, chances are that the item that you bought, curling tongs, hairdryer, etc, etc, it's going to be perfectly usable, okay? Of course, when you take it out of the packet, out of the box or whatever, you are going to naturally inspect the item for any damage because you've just paid some money for it, okay? There's your formal visual inspection that you're doing already without even recognising it, okay? The problem is when you buy things electrical from other countries, the faults aren't always visually noticeable. So just bear that in mind, okay? You buy something off a buyer on eBay, just be careful. There's certain things out there that are not good. Just to quote an example to you guys, it was a couple of years ago now. I bought a I forget what they're called now. I do apologise, but the items that give out the ultraviolet light that dries nail varnish on ladies' fingers, sometimes men's of course, but ladies' fingers, and it was taken out of the packet, plugged into the wall, an almighty bang, puff of smoke, blown fuse, chipped fuse box, and upon an inspection after that, after taking the thing to pieces, find out that it was wired completely wrong. Yes, and the plug did come attached to the appliance. Carried a check badge on it that it had been checked before it left the factory or whatever. Obviously it wasn't, and it was not safe to use. Thankfully it was a class 2 appliance, had a plastic case, so there wasn't a great risk of electric shock to the person that was holding it in their hand, which just happened to be me. But I got taught a lesson there, and I'm a pat tester, and I ignored my own rules for once, and that's what happened. So the other question is, do I need an electrician to undertake my pat testing? Simple answer, no, you don't. We've already been over this multiple times. You just need a competent person. In many low risk environments, i.e. like an office building for example, where things don't get moved around a lot, i.e. your printer sits on your bench, your computer's under your desk, the cables are nice tucked away in trays and they're not being kicked about and pulled. A sensible, competent member of staff can undertake any visual inspection, and if you have enough knowledge and training, then, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. However, I still suggest that a combined inspection and testing with somebody with a greater level of knowledge and experience is needed to do the test at least once a year. Now, the other question is, and this varies a lot, is once you have pat testing done by somebody or a company, what do you actually receive? Well, that can differ from one company to another. First, if you have an appliance that's failed, you should have a fail label placed onto that appliance. Okay? I go a little bit further than that, and if the appliance is of a certain size, you get this: do not use. I want to try and make sure that that person doesn't use that appliance. I will ask the customer rather to send it A, for repair, and I'll come back and do the pat test after it's been repaired, or number 2, that they dispose of the appliance. Now, under no circumstances, if an item fails, should you cut off the plug. Please don't do this. You should not disarm the appliance in any way. Give them the written warning that the actual item has failed on an asset register which states the item has failed on such a date and should not be used, and the reason why it shouldn't be used. Ask them to get it repaired or discard the item. Okay, but whatever you do, do not cut off the plug or remove anything from that appliance. It has been known that this is causing damage to somebody else's equipment. Okay? Do not do that. Just do everything within your power to inform the person or the manager or most importantly the user of the item that the item is faulty and should not be used. When items pass, a pat test label should be applied to the appliance. That's these. They should have at least the appliance ID. Now, the appliance ID can be a specific number that's been adhered to the item by the company that's using it, or it could simply be, in most cases as I do, the serial number of the appliance. Okay? Should always have a pass date on it, the day that you actually pass the item. Or should always have the next due date that you assess the item needs to be checked. There's no set periods for any tests. It's up to you. The pat test is as good as the person that's testing it. If you think that the item is in an environment where it requires more frequent testing, then say so on the next due date. Okay? Always initial the test engineer section, so as you know who's responsible for the testing. It might not be you. You might have people working for you. You might have people walking around the office doing testing on your behalf. Okay? And as on these items here, normally there is a box you can tick that shows the fuse rating of the appliance. Now, pat testing labels are all good. Okay? And I know I keep going out of focus here, but please don't stick them in somebody's face. Okay? i.e., do not have a pat test label and stick it somewhere like that on an appliance where it's covered instructions or buttons or any important information that could be on there. Try and place them in a discreet place. For example, this item here, I'd put it there, okay? It's out of the way, it's unlikely to get pulled off, it doesn't hit you in the face as soon as you see it, okay? But it's been tested. Second to that, I always do, when I return back to the office or back to home, I always give an asset register, which is a list of all the items that's been tested, either pass or fail, with their test date and due test date and the readings actually got from the appliance. Okay. In most cases, if somebody has an appliance of a certain serial number and it's had a pat test sticker on it, and somebody comes along and somehow removes that pat test label, usually you'll be thinking, oh dear, I've got to pay for that again. I've got no proof that that item's been tested. If you do an asset register and instruct the customer to pin it on the wall, you have got that proof that the item's been tested. Alright, it carries the serial number, look up on the asset register, oh yes, that was tested on so and so, that's not due for another 6 months. Again, visual inspection, nothing seems to have changed. We'll call the pat tester in another 6 months' time. Most critical places to have pat testing done is the place of my work. If you're a tool hire company, okay, it's strongly recommended that the equipment is formally inspected and tested before each hire. Not every 3 months, not every month. No test schedule of, okay, this is okay for 3 months, this is okay for 4 months, this is okay for 6 months, this is okay for a year. After every single hire, it needs to be tested again. You don't know what damage the customer's done to it, you don't know what environment the tool has been living in, it must be tested again. So you must take the appropriate steps to make sure, actually ensure, that it remains safe to use throughout the hire period. Okay, so it's important information there. Probably another question that comes up quite regular is, does pat testing affect any insurance cover that I may have? It certainly does. Okay, so insurance companies assume that when they give an insurance cover to a business, that the owners of the business are complying with all the regulations that they necessarily need to run that business. Okay, and one of them is maintaining the appliances that's used within that business. So an insurance company may reduce, delay, or even refuse to pay on the claim if a damaged appliance has not been tested and has caused the damage. I.e., if something has not been tested and it's caused a fire, they won't pay. So it is actually quite important. You must show, if you're running a company, some commitment to the health and safety by providing a member rather of your organisation to test the equipment who is proved to be competent, i.e. qualified to the 2337, okay, or get somebody in from an external company, okay, to do testing for you. Another question, how often is pat testing required for landlords, for example? So you're a landlord, is it a legal requirement to carry out pat testing if you're a landlord? There's no legal requirement to carry out pat testing if you're a landlord, but it still is your responsibility to ensure that the safety of your tenants by providing safe living conditions. And one of that ways is to make sure that electrical items are got into place, especially if they're supplied by you. It's a great way to maintain electrical safety. A pat test actually is a legal requirement if you have a house in multiple occupation, i.e. an HMO. and you should carry out the testing and inspection at least every 5 years, guys. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So no, it's not a legal requirement for a landlord, but it is a legal requirement if you have a house of multiple occupation, an HMO. You should carry out an inspection at least every 5 years, so just remember that. I suppose the last question really on this part, before I bore you all to death, is what are the penalties if you don't meet these legal obligations. Okay, so it depends a lot on the severity of the situation. The penalty for not meeting legal obligations on electrical appliance safety, okay, can, at this moment in time, be as high as 2 years imprisonment. 2 years imprisonment, guys. Even more scary, as well as an unlimited financial penalty. Okay, so just to round it all up, the price that you pay for somebody who's competent to walk into your place of work with one of these machines to attach one of these labels or one of these labels and give you a piece of paper is very small, isn't it, compared to the price that you could pay if a disaster was to strike. Alright, so I think we're going to round off this video right now. We're beginning a few bullet points. I hope you could all hear me okay. I hope I ain't bored you all to death, but we're going to run through each stage of pat testing from this point forward, and we're going to talk about what it involves and hopefully answer quite a few questions that people are going to be throwing at me in the comments. Like I said, I'm not the world's leading expert, but I've had up to this point, touch wood, no problems, and I believe that the method of my schedule has served me well over the years, and I want you to do that too. Okay, so I think you need to gain a basic understanding of electricity, a basic understanding of why it's so important that the aspects we're going to talk about later on, in later videos, are so important to people's safety. We're going to go through the equipment that you're going to use to go out on the job. We're going to go through the schedule of testing, and we're going to try and answer all the questions that anybody could possibly ask. This is not an advertisement for a particular pat tester. This is not an advertisement for my company. I'm not sponsored by anybody for this. It's just my way of coming across to you guys to say, look, this is what you need to do. You can practice in your own home. Why not? Okay, a lot of do's and don'ts. Keep tuned in, and hopefully you haven't all fell asleep, and we'll go over some things in the next video, which hopefully will be a little bit more interesting for you guys out there with a little bit of electrical knowledge. And if you haven't got any electrical knowledge, keep watching, because you might learn a thing or two. But for now, I'm going to go, guys. It's late at night, it's getting a bit cold, and we'll catch up with this video maybe sometime later on in this week. And I wish you all the best, and catch you in part 2. Bye bye, guys.